welcome to Afterthought. This is the visual companion to the System Mastery podcast, where the podcast talks about the specific, we talk about the general. This week we talked about Tales from the Floating Vagabond. It's a comedy RPG, and so this week we'll be talking about comedy in general. And with me as my co-host is my actual co-host on the show, Jeff. Say hello.
Hi there.
All right. And we've got our D10 and our list of topics, so let's jump right in.
Very good.
Roll away.
Can do. 3.
3. What do you find to be your favorite or the best type of comedy? So you've got your generic sort of observational stand-up, you've got prop, parody, musical comedy. There are a lot of different ways to go about it. What would you say is your favorite, or just what do you think is the best in general?
Well, I'm a stand-up guy. I really like
You are a stand-up guy.
I'm a stand-up gentleman. I really enjoy stand-up comedians. I like to follow their history. I like to know more about the process. It's the one type of comedy where I care how they make the sausage. And as a result, I also like things that stand-up comedians tend to involve themselves in. So I like a lot of podcast, long-form improvisational humor, things like Comedy Bang Bang. Go off on a tangent immediately. I say I like knowing more about how comedians work, but a lot of the time I get tired of how much they spend time talking about how they work. There's just a lot of comedian gunk about how they're, it's a special calling and not everyone can be a comedian, and that sort of thing is less exciting. But I like knowing more about how to deal with hecklers, all that kind of stuff. So I'd say that's my favorite. You?
I was thinking about this when I was writing the questions, and it occurred to me I actually really like musical comedy a lot. More than I would think I would. I don't know if I would say it's my favorite, but it's definitely one that I think is really interesting that doesn't get a lot of sort of play or attention, and I mean it's not as maligned as prop comedy or anything.
But mime, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been around for forever. I mean, I remember having my Dr. Demento tapes as a kid, so I know exactly where you're coming from. It's funny how a lot of that has stuck with us since basically the late 60s.
Oh, yeah.
And has become kind of the standard of the genre. Like, you say musical comedy and you say Weird Al Yankovic, and my first thought is to go to, like, Hello Mutta, Hello Fada. Which
and that's the thing, is
Alan
you also,
Sherman, yeah.
You have these songs that, past the point where you're like, haha, that's really funny and clever, you keep listening to them anyway, and
because they're good.
Yeah, it just becomes a thing that you're like, oh, not only is that sort of clever and funny, but it's a fun song to listen to.
Absolutely. And, I don't really want to say that. There's been a major resurgence of that in the past couple of years with bands like Lonely Isle, or Lonely Island, however they say that, and let's see, Hall & Oates.
Mm-hmm.
So they're around, and it's awesome to see that that's actually making a comeback. I think it's going to see a major comeback with the change to buying individual songs, because it used to be that buying a whole Al Sherman album felt kind of daunting when all you wanted was Camp Granada. Who knows what else is on there?
Yeah.
So.
All right, well, let's do another one.
Let's do it again. 2.
What are your thoughts on hecklers, sort of in general? I know a lot of comedians have an odd love-hate relationship, depending on the type of comedian. Some love having that brief interaction with the audience, and some people just think it's the rudest thing you can possibly do. And as someone that's mostly just sort of an audience member, like, what would you think if someone heckles? What is your knee-jerk reaction to that?
I'm very much in the camp that heckling is wrong. I'm so much in that camp that I don't even like it when people sing along with the songs at a concert. I'm like, or worse, I specifically hate it when the band tries to make you sing their song for them. Like, I mean, that's.
I hate good times.
I hate good times and fun. Oh, I hate it. So I want to see it exactly like the album, and I want to see them perform. I honestly, they could be behind a curtain, and I'd be just as happy. But no, I mean, when I go to see a performance, when I go to see a live performance, I expect to see the performer performing. If I felt like shouting at them, I would. I don't feel like having someone else shout at them for me, who I have not met and is drunk and is nearby. That isn't what I went there for. So I'm always against it. And I understand the whole argument that they're making, which is that they're making it a live performance, they're engaging, they're bringing out, there's awesome YouTube videos out there of comedians shutting down hecklers, but for every time there's a comedian that does a great job of shutting down a heckler, there's 15 times where they just point at them and a bartender or a bouncer comes through and takes them out, or you get a Chappelle moment where they just sit there for the next 20 minutes. I even read an article recently along the lines of blaming blaming the audience at the Chappelle show walkout, saying whenever a comedian walks out or stops, that's the audience's fault.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
If a comedian goes out there, he's got a performance he wants to do. He's got a set, maybe he's got some improv things, but overall, he's doing a performance. And it would be like, I went to go see a play, and I just stood up and was like, Hamlet's stupid!
Right.
Show your Beth!
Show your tits! Yeah, I can see that, absolutely.
Bring back the ghost!
Throw a pie! But at the same by the same token, Freebird. That's the other thing they should be shouting, Freebird. But by the same token, it's not the whole audience's fault when Chappelle stops a performance. It's one guy's fault. One guy who can't stop yelling Rick James. So I am violently anti-heckler, but I also think that there should be better tools in place to deal with it. We need to have better bouncers in bars. We need to have better clubs to stop that sort of thing from being a case. I am decidedly against heckling. I think it ruins the performance. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked in comedy club. I've done stand-up before, and I have to say, it's odd. Like, if there's a heckle, I actually find that to be occasionally really good, especially if it's something that riffs off what they were just saying instead of just, you suck.
Oh, yeah, if it's a story hook or something like that. There's a Jim Brewer bit a long, long time ago where a guy in the audience just went like, blah, 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 and he got a good, like 10 minutes of, a big old 10-minute chunk just on how this guy decided that his moment in life was to ruin a thing, and he spent weeks rehearsing his line. That's fine. Unfortunately, the moment that one person is rewarded for saying blah, blah, blah,
that's the problem. As soon as you don't immediately shut that down, and even in the club, when someone would do like a heckle and the comedian would play off it and they didn't mind, a server, someone would go by and be like, you need to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I have no idea how long we've been recording.
You want to roll one more?
I'll do one more.
Let's roll one more and see what happens. Here we go.
Oh, fuck.
I cannot stay on this thing. And I rolled 3. We already had 3, so here we go. 4.
Okay. This ought to be fun. What comedian do you hate the most? Now you gotta limit it to one. I know you hate several comedians.
That's true. I really do hate several comedians. I kind of want to go dark horse and say someone that I personally don't like that the rest of the world loves, just because I love being that guy that everyone hates on the internet and has to tell that he's wrong. Yeah, so, I mean, that makes me want to say something like Maria Bamford, who I can't stand, but I know the world's in love with. But no, let's just go simple. Dane fucking Cook.
Oh, it's so sad.
You know, it is absolutely very sad, because I have seen really early Dane Cook.
Yeah, no, back before anyone knew who Dane Cook was, you're like, oh, you did stand-up.
Yeah, he did real stand-up, and he really worked rooms, and then he became famous primarily through, and again, I feel bad for dumping on him because he got famous through hard-ass work. It's not.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't luck that made Dane Cook what he is. That guy worked MySpace like a piano for as long as MySpace was relevant. He was begging people to go to his shows. He was shilling himself. He really did the job he needed to. And then he finally got famous, and he sucked from that day forward.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't even know what happened. If he just got famous enough that he stopped putting in the time to it?
It's a Larry the Cable Guy thing. He got famous for a very specific set of actions, and he was like, you know what? If that's what people like, that's what I'm going to give them. If they like me sticking my arms out at right angles to my body and stomping around like a 3-year-old while going, rah, then that's what I'll do. That's what I'll be famous for.
It is true. I mean, if that's what your audience is going to pay you to do, then that's what he'll do.
Yeah, he's going to fill stadiums like that. He is not a Kaufman. Kaufman got famous for doing silly voices and then got up on stage and wanted to do something else. Dane Cook knows why he's famous, and he's happy to give it out, and I don't like it. It's probably because I'm not a frat douche. Or I don't know. Who likes him these days? Because those frat douches have to have graduated by now.
I think, actually, they're all on Louis C.K.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Everyone's on Louis C.K.
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. What about you? I already took Dane Cook.
I know you did.
You want Carlos Mencia?
I don't. I think I'm going to go with Lisa Lampanelli.
Oh, all right.
She just, because there are comedians that are really good at working a room, that are really, really good at playing off of the people in there.
And she is a crowd worker.
That is what she does. Like, so much of her stuff is playing with the crowd, talking to the crowd. And there are people that are more insult-oriented that can get away with it, have some really, funny insights. And she doesn't. It's the exact same thing every time.
And there are people who have been working the insult game for forever. I mean, Rickles, if you've ever seen a Rickles show, it's amazing. He knows how to work a room. He knows how, even though he hits the standards, the I'm sorry, no, I said I'm sorry type jokes, he still makes them good because he's got the facial expressions, he's got it right down. But with Lampanelli, and here's what I don't like about Lampanelli, because I agree she's awful. I don't hate her with nearly the vitriol I reserve for Dane Cook, who's just lazy. But Lampanelli, the trick with her is that anyone could do Lampanelli. And for every time I read these things about how comedians are, a special breed of people who were born to perform and have to be homeless between the ages of 14 and 19 before they finally break it in a San Francisco club, Lampanelli's like a McDonald's clown. Like, you just put the makeup on anybody and be like, go out there and stand in front of those kids. Ask who's an Italian, and when they say an Italian, you go, you're a wop. That's your routine. Are there any of the gays here? The gays
I love
are my
the
friends.
gays.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a black guy. Black guys love me because I'm fat, and I'll let them put it in my butt. And I'm like, your material is the worst, the absolute fucking worst.
Oh, she's like a talking sandbox.
And people are like, oh, she's so edgy. She's going out there and you'd be like, oh, the gays here, I love the fags. No, that's not edgy. You're just bad. You're awful.
Is there a comedian that panders to gays and doesn't suck at it? Because I'm thinking about what's her name with the red hair. We'll add her name at the end of
Kathy Griffin.
There, Kathy Griffin, who does the same thing about how the gays are her best friends and she loves the gays. And it just, I know the gay community has embraced Kathy Griffin, but every time I watch it, I'm just like, oh. There's a couple of gay comedians out there who I'm a huge fan of. I'll go ahead and say Nell Campbell is awesome. I don't know if you've seen his work, but he's really, really good. So they're out there. They exist. But
the thing is, they aren't going out there being like, the gays are my friends. And I'm like,
I like gay men because they'll do my nails and they have a feather boa. Shut up.
All right. I think that'll do it for us this week. Thank you for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And remember, you can see us on this YouTube channel every other week, and you can hear us doing the System Mastery Podcast also in alternating weeks from this at systemmasterypodcast.com. Go ahead and click the subscribe button, and you can get this in your feed once every 2 weeks. It's not all that annoying. Down below, you can find the Twitter for the System Mastery. You can find my Twitter. Find our Facebook page any way that you want to make a comment. Let us know that we're assholes and that Dane Cook is actually a genius and that we have no idea what we're talking about.
Oh, and can I make a quick plug?
Huh?
Yeah, System Mastery Podcast. I'm sorry, since we have the same job. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, and until next week, thanks for joining us.